Good evening. It's 5:30 p.m. and time to call this meeting of the Fort Smith Public Schools Board of Education to order. Please stand as we now pause for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our mission statement is Fort Smith Public Schools, a premier district where innovation creates excellence and is dedicated to providing an equitable, challenging educational experience by engaging families and community partners as we prepare students to embrace their roles in our culturally diverse community and rapidly changing world. The board will now hear from those who wish to make comments and who have completed and returned the Citizens Participation Request Form. This section will be conducted in accordance with board policy. Speakers must limit comments to issues that can be presented in a public forum. There is a total of 15 minutes available, which will be divided between the number of speakers. Complaints about student discipline, individual student issues, or personnel must be addressed through appropriate administrative channels, and members of the board do not enter into dialogue with speakers during the public forum. Names of individual students or employees should not be stated during the citizens' participation. Do we have any citizens? I believe we have two that have signed up to speak. Mark Allert. Thank you. You want to come up to the podium? Thank you.
Mark Allert, live on 4024 Fresno. Just want to say I believe in education. I spent a career in a high-tech field. It did me well. Education is critical. Recently moved back to Fort Smith, and I have really 3 points I want to discuss. They're all related. I know this first one's ugly. It's the Maverick mascot image. I know that was very controversial. I don't want to relive all that pain, and I hope I'm not giving the wrong impression here, but in Western culture, we look at people's eyes and we make all kinds of judgments. George Bush thought he could look in Putin's eyes and see his soul. Now he says, I look in his eyes and see evil. In The Great Gatsby, they looked at the eyes of Dr. Eckelberg staring down on him from the billboard. And it's a common theme in our Western culture. What do you see in someone's eyes? When I look at the Maverick image, I just look at those eyes, and I just see dark brooding. I think it's just that it's not the kind of image we want for our children. I'm not an evangelist. I'm not a snowflake. I've rolled with a lot of people, but I just don't think this is the right image for our children. There's so much darkness that kids can have so many dark thoughts. I just can't believe this is the image we want our children to have. I talked to Dr. Brubaker on the phone a few weeks ago, and he suggested maybe a softer Maverick, and I would go for that. I thought the Maverick was a horse. I talked to family about this controversy several years ago, but it wasn't until I saw it, and then I got these things sent to me in the mail, and I was like, this is the image of the new South Side artistic rendition of the architecture. So, and the other point that just stuns me is we're going to spend almost $16 million on school security, but the image we put forward to the kids is this thing that I look at and see a psychotic cowboy, a school shooter, just something awful. It is just the wrong image for our school. Our school needs to be a warm, welcoming environment. It shouldn't be this. And where do we go from here? I mean, in my opinion, we just come up with something softer, nicer. And I don't know how it was picked. Don't care. It's passed. I suspect high school students picked it. But even those students 4 years ago, they're almost adults now. They'll be taxpayers in hopefully another few more years. They'll look at this and go, what happened? Why did we do this? Why didn't the adults stop this nonsense? That's my opinion. I'll just stop on that point and move to the second point, which is related. I look at the picture, the artistic rendition of what the new building's going to look like. And I just, to me, a public building, well, let me just back up. I graduated from Southside in 1979, 40 years ago, and the front of the building is almost unchanged in 40 years. The only real difference, as you see, is the red paint along the windows looks good, and the little landscaping knoll they built out. Other than that, it is identical to when I left 40 years ago. So whatever we do with the building, you can count on it. It's going to be looking like that for 40, 50 years. Public buildings need to have a certain amount of grace, a certain amount of dignity, and longevity. They're going to be around a long time. We're going to spend a bunch of money. It should look nice when people walk in. Most of the public, most of y'all will never go back into Southside, but you'll drive by and you'll see it and you'll say, yeah, that's ugly. I look at this thing and I think it looks like a nasty billboard, or just trashy. It's just not. It just doesn't look good to me. I went to the Planning Commission meeting August 13th, and I brought this up because they were asking for a variance. Now they've backed away from the variance, and the architects there told me you can't do anything because the variance was just a material use, how much material is going to be used. But the architect did say this. He's like, I agree with you. That's awful. I don't know how did they get into the architectural plans? And Dr. Brubaker did another thing for me. He set me up and talked to some construction supervisors, and they said, yeah, we're not going to do this because it's too expensive. Well, that's sort of only halfway reassuring, because I want to hear from y'all, we're not going to do this because it's bad architecture, we don't like it, and it just makes no sense for a public building that's going to be here for 50 years. That's what I really want to hear. And then when I heard that it would be lighted up at night, I'm like, oh no. No, you're kidding me. We're going to light it up? So it's not only going to look like a trashy billboard, now it's going to look like a trashy drive-in movie theater, which were great in their time, but they're not a graceful, dignified public building. When I went to the Planning Commission meeting, so many people were there from Northside, and I was almost embarrassed. Northside had huge turnout of people. I was the only person there that was not happy, that actually showed up to say, we don't like this at Southside, but nevertheless, that's what it is. So, and the other point, not only would it be really expensive to build it with this special glass that incorporate the mascot, it'd be enormously expensive to replace it if we finally come to our senses and go, no, we don't want this thing. That's half the time?
We have to divide between 15 minutes.
Has that been 7 minutes? Sorry. Thank you. I hope that you can consider this. I hope you consider that we really do move forward with a better solution. And Dr. Brubaker, I think you've accomplished so much. This will be your legacy for Fort Smith. All you've done. Working in a big corporation, people always remember the negative. Please don't let the negative be that you let this end up being the face of the house. Thank you, Mr. Fair.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Jason Green.
Thank you, Ms. McBaron. My name is Jason Green, proud graduate in the Fort Smith Public School System. I thought I would start with just a little bit of reflection. Some of you may know this already, but it was actually 2 years ago this week that we started on the strategic planning process. Hard to believe how much we have accomplished together as a district and as a community related to the strategic planning process. So I'm not here tonight to ask for anything. That has kind of been my norm the last couple of times I've had the opportunity to do this. I'm here to say thank you. I'm here to say thank you on behalf of students, parents, members of the community, faculty, everybody in this great city of Fort Smith, to say thank you for your leadership and your vision as you think about our school district and our students, the transparency and inclusiveness that you had in the process. When you think about the hundreds and hundreds of students, parents, grandparents, community leaders, business leaders that had the opportunity to weigh in on decisions and designs and long-term strategic plans at their own free will and accord, all voluntary. It's amazing to think about how inclusive of a process it was at the end of the day. And it makes me feel proud when I think about the end result that we are going to give back to this community. I appreciate the trust that you put in all the bodies that had a part in this, the strategic planning committees, the action committees, the citizens committee, the building committees, the committees that ultimately weighed in and shared thoughts and opinions on what our students ultimately need in a learning environment and a school experience. I can't thank you enough for that. And last but certainly not least, I can't thank you enough for putting all these students in this crowd today. I love where this came on the agenda, for putting them at the center of every decision that you have made throughout this process. You didn't put me at the center. You didn't put other members of the community. You may have put us second, but you put students first. And I think at the end of the day, what makes me most proud, and I've seen it already in a short period of time, we are going to change the lives of some of the kids in this room and kids in our districts for years and years to come. And that makes me really proud to know that we've made a difference. And I can tell you, I can't wait to see what is ahead for Fort Smith, the Fort Smith Public School District, and all these students out here in this crowd today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Green. We appreciate it. We move on now to professional staff recommendations. Dr. Brubaker.
Yes, ma'am. It's been a busy summer, and we're wrapping up the hiring season, so Ms. Penix will review some of those new hires with us now.
Dr. Brubaker, Ms. McFerrin, and board members, we have some recommendations for resignations for certified and classified. Susan Erkey, art teacher at Kimmons Junior High School. Misty Cloud, child nutrition worker at Cook Elementary School. Ashley Hilburn, child nutrition worker at Uper Lane Elementary School. Pamela Williams, child nutrition worker at Sutton Elementary School. We have 2 retirements, one certified Paula Bodner, ESL inclusion teacher at Northside High School, and from classified, Vicki Davis, office manager, human resources.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions? The chair will entertain a motion to approve the resignations and retirements as presented.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the resignations and retirements. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. The resignations and retirements are approved by a vote of 7-0.
So we'll move on to recommendations for employment.
For employment, we have some certified and classified. Alyssa Swearingen, science teacher at Kimmons Junior High School. Braden McCowan, special education teacher at Bell Point Center. Susan Jackson, elementary teacher at Tillis Elementary School. Jasmine Stocking, elementary teacher at Pike Elementary School. Alice Albright, elementary teacher, Howard Elementary School. Kara Eford, elementary teacher, Sutton Elementary School. Candace Poirier, elementary teacher at Upper Lane Elementary School. Teresa Rambo, elementary teacher at Sutton Elementary School. Brandon Herring, the UAS drone instructor at Northside High School. Peggy Pritchett, elementary teacher at Fairview Elementary School. Vita Cooper, elementary teacher at Fairview Elementary School. And the classified, Chantray Sargent, physical education paraprofessional. Stephanie Maddox, physical education paraprofessional at Woods. Megan Turner, physical education paraprofessional at Sunnymead Elementary School. Jessica Mazagarios, child nutrition worker at Jupiter Lane Elementary School. Crystal Sisafon, child nutrition worker at Sutton Elementary School. And Gloria Hollander, child nutrition worker at Cook Elementary School. And at this time, we have no leave of absence request.
All right, thank you, Ms. Penix. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the recommendations for employment as presented. Did you, second was Yvonne. Is there any discussion?
I
Is,
have a question. The drone instructor, UAS?
Unmanned aerial systems.
Thanks. Now I know.
all right. So is there any more discussion or questions? It's been moved and seconded to approve the recommendations for employment as presented. All in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. The recommendations for employment are approved by a vote of 7-0, and there are no requests for a leave of absence. Our next item is recognitions. Dr. Brubaker?
Yes, ma'am. So I think the first thing we want to do tonight, we have expanded our team. We have a number of campus leaders that we've been promising to introduce to you all summer, and as you can see, many of them are here, and I'm excited to share some information about each of them with you. I'll ask those folks to stand up if they would, please, when I introduce them, and remain standing while I tell all the great things about you and the work you've done already. So we'll start with Ms. Nicole Schaefer, who serves now as the principal of Fairview Elementary School. Ms. Schaefer's leadership experience includes 4 years as the assistant principal of Woods and Barling Elementary Schools and 2 years as the assistant principal of Cook Elementary School. She's also a veteran of the Air Force, having served in the 188th Fighter Wing. Her enthusiasm, positive outlook, instructional background, and student focus are characteristics that we believe will contribute to her success in this new role. Thank you, Ms. Schaefer. I'll borrow a line from my high school principals from graduation, and we'll hold our applause, if that's all
Okay,
right,
Elvis.
until we're finished with everyone. Does that sound okay?
Great.
Clint Gilman. Clint's serving as the assistant principal of Sutton Elementary. Most recently, he has served as the instructor for the Northside High School UAS, or Unmanned Aerial Systems Program. Prior to that, that's right, he spent time as an elementary PE teacher, coach, and high school business teacher. He also served 2 years in the United States Army. Mr. Gilman's experience and passion for education make him an exciting addition to the Sutton Elementary administrative team. Thank you, sir. Sarah Jane Mayer. Okay. Ms. Mayer is now serving as assistant principal of Cook Elementary. Most recently, she served as assistant principal of Morrison and Trustee Elementary Schools. Additionally, she was a classroom teacher for 12 years. She was selected as Teacher of the Year for the Vallejo City Unified School District in Vallejo, California. Ms. Mayer brings a wealth of knowledge and enthusiasm to Cook Elementary and will be an exciting addition to their leadership team. Sean Schaefer, who we've seen at several board meetings already, back there by Mr. Hollenbeck. And Ryan, he began his new assignment managing a variety of challenges as the supervisor of maintenance and construction. He has served as a teacher and coach at Darby and Kimmons Junior Highs. He also served in the United States Air Force for 24 years, where he oversaw construction projects and budgets and earned 9 medals for service and achievement. He has worked as a licensed master electrician for more than 20 years and taught electrical training classes at the University of Arkansas, Fort Smith. Thank you, sir. And I'll tell you, I got to know Mr. Schaefer a little bit more this weekend as we were dealing with some water issues out at the school. So he's a great addition to our team. Michelle Burnett. Ms. Burnett is serving as the assistant principal of Upper Lane and Orr Elementary Schools. She has served as both a classroom teacher and counselor in the district, and she has been an active Vision 2023 strategic planning participant as a Wellness Action Team member. Her commitment to academic success, career awareness, and social and educational development make her an outstanding addition to both of those campus leadership teams. Thank you, ma'am. Elizabeth Love. There's Miss Love. She's serving as assistant principal at Trustee and Morrison Elementary School. She began her career as an educator in the Fort Smith schools, teaching 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grades at Spradling before taking on the role of a Title I specialist. Now, that was in different years, right? Didn't try to do all that at once. She was recently recognized as the 2019 Fort Smith JC's Young Educator of the Year. We're thrilled to have her in this new role. Thank you. Amy Griggs is serving as assistant principal at Fairview Elementary School. She is certified in literacy by the National Board of Professional Teaching Standards. She began her career in the Fort Smith schools as first grade teacher at Upper Lane Elementary School, where she also taught 3rd grade before she became a Title I specialist at Ballman, Bonneville, Fairview, and Morrison. Thank you, Amy. Lieutenant Colonel Jason Maharg now serves as assistant principal at Chaffin Junior High School. He is well known for his previous role at Northside High School for building what is widely regarded as the most successful junior ROTC program, not just in Sebastian County, not just in the state of Arkansas, but really in a region that encompasses several states. Under his leadership, that student-led program has grown from 140 students to 370 in 3 years. He also serves on the district's CTE Advisory Board, Career and Technology Education, that is working on plans for our new Career and Technology Center. Thank you, sir. Jared Myers. Jared has joined the administrative team at Northside High School as an assistant principal. He comes to Northside from Kimmons Junior High, where he served as band director and then assistant principal. He has also served as facilitator for the Vision 2023 Technology Action Team and is in the is serving as the Fine Arts Transitions Coordinator for grade realignment. Mr. Myers is committed to empowering students to develop a viable plan and a relevant skill set, a phrase that we hear a lot here in Fort Smith Public Schools, for academic and personal success beyond high school. Thank you, sir. And Tammy Chase is serving as assistant principal of Kimmons Junior High. Ms. Chase has worked in the Fort Smith Public Schools for 13 years as a classroom teacher, facilitator, and assistant principal. Most recently, she served as assistant principal for Fairview Elementary. Mrs. Chase's ability to be a compassionate and enthusiastic instructional leader and her experience with professional learning communities makes her a valuable asset to Kimmons Junior High. I'd now like to ask all of our new team members in their new roles to stand up, please. And let's give them a big round of applause. And board members, I will tell you, I am really proud of this group. I'm excited that they're taking up leadership positions in our district, and I know that our district continues to have a very bright future in part because of their continued involvement. So, Ms. Featherston Marshall, are we ready to continue with more recognitions?
Board members and Dr. Brubaker, isn't it nice to have this crowd back? It's been
good to see kids again,
Yeah,
yes.
It's been April since we've had this kind of crowd at the board meeting, so welcome you all. We're going to work with our recognitions right now with the Barling National History Day students. Please come forward, and your teachers. If your principal is here and other teachers, please stand with them, please. Parents as well. Barling Elementary School students, oh, and Leslie Higgins, I haven't seen her yet. Come on forward, Miss Higgins. Barling Elementary School students Layla Randalls, Madison Nixon, Jackson Waite, and Patsy Graham, who are all at Chaffin now, I believe, won first in the state, and qualified to compete at the National History Day competition in Baltimore, Maryland. Their team, A Fort of Hope, placed 10th of 101 international teams. The team sponsors were Teresa Johnson and Jennifer Schur. Leslie Higgins, who is the education director for the U.S. Marshals Museum, introduced, promotes, and supports this important learning and recognition program district-wide. Congratulations to you all, and thank you, Ms. Higgins. It takes a minute with big groups. Thank you all. Chaffin Junior High School Quiz Bowl. Would you please come forward? And again, principals, teachers, parents, stand with them if you're here with them. Chaffin Junior High School Quiz Bowl team members, Vivian Apple, Lindsay Garrettson, Zane Rana, Jacob Reeder, and Jackson Walshed, won the Chicago National Quiz Bowl Championship in early June. Vivian Apple and Jackson Walshed were recognized as co-recipients of the Most Valuable Player. These champions are supported by their parents and their dedicated sponsors, Logan Hoops and Travis Miner. Congratulations, you all. This is third consecutive state. Nice. And we don't want to forget Liv Todd. She wasn't in my script here. She has managed this group of young people admirably and with finesse. So thank you for what you do for the team here. Congratulations, guys. Northside High School drama and choir students, would you please come forward? I know that we have a couple who could be here and a couple who could not. So we'll go with this. Northside High School's production of Once on This Island. Ms. Featherston and Ms. Fowler, you're supposed to come forward too. Northside High School's production of Once on This Island is in the national spotlight. 4 students have been recognized for their performance by the National Youth Arts Council. Madeline, once you wave, there's Madeline. Madeline Newman won the award for her performance as Erzuli. The National Youth Arts Council selection committees, who select winners from videos submitted throughout the nation, were also impressed by Waylon Huangwilai as Agwe and Abby Hope as Asaka. There's Abby. And Angel Kehaksa as Papagay. Waylon and Angel couldn't be here tonight. Their sponsors, Robin Fowler and Katie Featherston, directed and supported these students and the rest of the cast in bringing this show to life. Congratulations, you all. We'll expect something like that next year, too. So. Ballman Elementary Principal Lori Griffin, would you please come forward? Ms. Griffin is the recipient of the first Rebecca DeFore Scholarship, which honors Ms. DeFore's legacy for leadership and service in education. This award honored 10 women in the nation for continuing Becky's vision of improving schools and outcomes for students in their school communities. Lori was the only educator in Arkansas identified for this distinction. Additionally, she is the Fort Smith Association of Educational Office Professionals 2019 Educational Administrator of the Year. Congratulations. Gordon Manley, would you please come forward? Gordon Manley, who is the Northside High School Director of Bands, was recently recognized as a 2019 Arkansas Bandmaster of the Year by the Arkansas Bandmasters Association. You may remember that Gordon, who is beginning his 34th year as band director in Arkansas, was honored nationally last year as the John Philip Sousa Laureate. And with this latest statewide designation, he joins a distinguished line of other Fort Smith band directors, including Audra Cowan, Stan Kate, Richard Peer, Prissy Buchanan, Mike Kroom, and Dwayne Walker and John Combs. Congratulations, Mr. Manley. Deja Stevens, would you come forward, please? Deja Stevens, who is a 5th, 6th grade teacher at Orr Elementary School, was nominated and named the Fort Smith Public Schools Teacher of the Year in the 2019 Arkansas Teacher of the Year Recognition Program, and as one of 15 of the state's regional finalists. Deja was recognized by Governor Asa Hutchinson in early August. She is certified by the National Board of Professional Teaching Standards in English Language Arts and Early Adolescence. Congratulations, Ms. Stevens. Dr. Kelly Todd, would you please come forward? Dr. Todd is a Southside High School business teacher. She was honored at the 2019 Arkansas Association of Career and Technical Educators as the organization's Teacher of the Year. Dr. Todd, who earned a doctorate of education in human resource and workforce development from the University of Arkansas at Fayetteville in 2015, is highlighted in the comments made by Southside graduate John Freeney in the video that we have posted on our website. She's not named, but if you're looking at the video and listening to it, you'll note that the teacher that John's talking about is you, Dr. Todd. So congratulations and thank you for what you do for your students. Kathy Ewing, would you please come forward? Kathy Ewing, who teaches 9th through 12th grade language arts, oral communication, and journalism at Bell Point, a New Tech Academy, was selected as the Arkansas Association of Alternative Educators 2019 Teacher of the Year. She has discussed her experience as an alternative educator at this organization's state conference and at the New Tech Conference. She was nominated by former colleague Melissa Trangmar. Congratulations, Ms. Ewing. And Ms. Miller and any Southside teacher, would you please come forward? Any Southside student, would you please come forward? Just the two of you. Southside High School was one of only a couple of thousand public high schools in the United States selected for the 2019 Great Schools College Success Award by the Great Schools organization. These awards recognize and celebrate public schools that are doing an outstanding job of preparing graduating seniors for post-secondary success. Congratulations and thanks for what you do for students. This concludes our recognitions. Thank you.
The next item for consideration is the consent agenda. The consent agenda is voted up or down as a whole unless a board member asks to pull an item for individual consideration. We will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. So moved. Second. Ms. Cole was the second. All in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. The consent agenda is approved by a vote of 7-0. The next item on the agenda is to consider adopting the 2019 and 2020 budget. This was an item that was previously discussed during the August 12th work session. Dr. Brubaker?
Yes, ma'am. So as you know, we brought the budget to the board at the last meeting at the work session. So Mr. Warren's here to answer any additional questions that you may have.
Are we all good? Oh, all right. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt the 2019-2020 financial budget as presented, allowing the administration to make immaterial adjustments required by the ADE.
So moved. Second.
Second. Is there any discussion? It's been moved and seconded to adopt the 2019-2020 financial budget as presented, allowing the administration to make immaterial adjustments required by the ADE. All in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. The recommendation to adopt the 2019-2020 financial budget as presented, allowing the administration to make immaterial adjustments required by the ADE, is approved by a vote of 7-0. Our next item is to consider approval of School Resource Officers, SRO, Memorandum of Understanding with the City of Fort Smith. Dr. Brubaker.
Yes, ma'am. So during its meeting on August 12th, the board heard a presentation about the district's ongoing partnership with the City of Fort Smith to jointly fund and deploy 4 school resource officers, or SROs. The SRO program with Fort Smith with Fort Smith Police Department represents an annual investment on the part of each entity of approximately $120,000 in the safety and security of our students. I'm really pleased to report that since the work session, we received an updated memorandum of understanding from the city. I see that former Mayor Sanders is here, so it's kind of nice to have you here while we discuss this. The attached memorandum of understanding details the responsibilities of the district and the city within this partnership. We have reviewed it. We've also had council review it, and the administration recommends approval of the attached memorandum of understanding. If the board agrees, the motion would read, move to approve the attached School Resource Officer Program Memorandum of Understanding with the City of Fort Smith.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? It's been moved and seconded to approve the attached School Resource Officer Program Memorandum of Understanding with the City of Fort Smith. All in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. The recommendation to approve the attached School Resource Officer Program Memorandum of Understanding with the City of Fort Smith is approved by a vote of 7-0. The next item on the agenda is a presentation about efforts to reduce the number of class size transfers. There's been a committee working on this for just about a year. Dr. Brubaker?
Yes, as Mr. Lay is getting set up, I just would like to thank the work of the committee and also Mr. Lay's. And I think what he'll share with you tonight is some pretty encouraging information about the progress that we've made in working through this set of issues. Mr. Lays.
Thank you, Dr. Brubaker, members of the board. Annually, we do 2 types of elementary transfers at the beginning of the school year. The well-known class size transfers are done the first 3 days of school to ensure that all classes are within state law in terms of the number of students allowed in each classroom. And then on the 4th day of school, we do attendance area exceptions, which allow students in the district to transfer from one elementary to another as long as there are available spots in the school they choose to transfer to. In December of 2018, we formed a committee made up of administrators, principals, parents, and then other district personnel. And we met and talked about making plans for things we could do to reduce the number of students who are class size. And I've shared those with you in the past, but I wanted to flash them up here again today. We met 3 times starting in December. We met in February and we met in January. We implemented 6 recommendations as a result of the work of that committee. Those 6 recommendations were to create a time, date, stamped receipt for registration, initiate new student registration through PowerSchool, that's the online registration program we're using, requiring proof of residence for all K through 6 students, that's what we worked so hard on this summer and last spring semester. We limited out-of-district access to schools experiencing over-enrollment, and by that I mean we didn't allow anyone from outside the Fort Smith School District to go to Ballman, Beard, Bonneville, Carnell, Kavanaugh, Upper, Fairview, Howard, Pike, or Woods, so that we saved those spots for residents. We gave extra effort to ensuring that the data was cleaned up at the end of the school year, which is closely related to the proof of residence. And then we provided a standardized letter to the elementary schools to share with parents that there was a possibility of class sizing when rosters neared capacity. And the purpose of that was to try to reduce the surprise when you get that call or that letter the first or second day of school. I'd like to introduce the members of that committee. There are not a lot here, but there are a couple I can see. I'm here. Michael Farrell was a member. Teresa Dewey is a member. Terry Morosky, if you'll wave, members. Chris Adamson is a parent from Woods. It is Woods, right? Okay. Amy Arzermanian was a parent from Upper. I don't believe Amy is here. Alice Alt is a parent from Southside, Ramsey, and Kavanaugh, and she was here, and I want her to be counted. Give me credit for her, okay? Because I saw her.
I saw her.
And I thought Whitson would keep her here, but she let her get out somehow. Charlotte Whitson's a principal at Bonneville. Tanika Tate, the principal from Carnell. Jeannie Carroll, our homeless liaison, and I never want to miss a chance to tell you that this is one of our most valuable people in this district. Never, ever forget it. She does incredible things for student services. J.D. Clayton, a parent from Cook, Ramsey, and Southside, and Estelle King, a parent from Sutton. Also, Terry Jones, the secretary from Ballman, were all members of that committee. So part of the class sizing process is you look at the number of kids you have enrolled in each grade at each school, and you look at the teacher loads at those schools, and you try to make decisions where you move the fewest number of people. Sometimes that results in the closure or addition of classes at certain grades and in certain schools. We try to class size the fewest students possible, so when you have a large number of students over the current spaces available in a grade school, we sometimes, rather than move 12 or 15 kids to a new school, we'll open a new section of that grade at that school. Conversely, when you do that, you sometimes have to close a section at another school who maybe was way low. And so there's some give and take and some shuffling around of teachers. The closures and openings that we did this year, including adding kindergarten classes at Ballman, Upper, Howard, Pike, and Sutton. Our kindergarten class grew this year, and we're very grateful for that. We closed a 4th grade class at Ballman, a 4th grade class at Spradling. We closed a 2nd grade class at Pike. We opened a 2nd grade class at Sunnymead. We closed a 5th grade class at Sunnymead, and we added a 3rd grade class at Pike. Sometimes that staffing of those new classes is just moving down the hallway if it's in the same building. The classes that we opened beyond the classes that were closed were staffed with positions that had not yet been filled as we waited to see how many students we had enrolled this year. We refer to those as held positions. And I already remarked that kindergarten was up. So here's some data comparing class sizing numbers from year to year. If you notice, over the last 6 years, we started going up, but the last 4 years, I guess I should say, we've gone down, with the highest point being in 2016 and 17, with 4.1% of our elementary students being class sized. This year we were able to lower that to 2.4%. So over 97% of our students were not class sized. They were able to stay in their home school. This is kind of a tightrope you walk, because if you want to be as efficient as you can and use your teaching staff, and yet you don't want to class size kids. And so it's an ongoing battle to reduce the number of kids class size but not overstaff the district if we can keep from it. This is a sheet that we use on the 4th day with parents. It's put up on these very TVs that you see it now, and it shows open spots by grade and by school. It's probably too small to see, but we use this on our attendance area exception day. This year we met with 100 families on Friday, the fourth day, between 7:30 and 1 p.m., and we were able to move 83 of the students requesting a transfer to where they wanted to go. Those who we couldn't place that day were placed on a wait list to be contacted, and we have contacted some of them since if a spot opened at the school in the grades they requested. When you do attendance area exceptions, what happens is kids move by choice, and it sometimes opens a spot up for a child who had previously been class sized. We do not allow any attendance area exceptions into any school or grade, I shouldn't say school, into any grade at a school that experienced class sizing. So if a student in third grade at Bonneville who wasn't class sized decides to move, if there were kids who were class sized from Bonneville in third grade, before anyone else gets a chance at that spot, we call them and bring them back. And so eventually we usually are able to get everyone back into their school. Okay, and lastly is some data about attendance area exceptions. As you can see, that's gone continuously up the last 4 years. It's a really interesting relationship, and if you think about it, it'll make perfect sense. As an old math teacher, I can't resist pointing this out, but there is an inverse relationship between class sizing and attendance area exceptions. The more class sizing you do, the less attendance area exceptions you do, and the less class sizing you do, the more attendance area exceptions you will have. And the reason for this is they're both based on the number of seats that are available and open. If you have a lot of seats open, there's going to be less class sizing and less need to move kids forcibly. And it allows more kids to choose where they go. But again, it's a tightrope of fiscal responsibility. You can't overstaff or else you'll have problems in that area. Always a very simple subject that we like to talk about. Any questions I can answer?
Go ahead.
I would like to have Chris kind of speak on his experience with this group, because he was somewhat of the catalyst by bringing this before the board a year ago, based on his personal experience. Is that okay with the board?
Yes, I thought the same. Chris,
That would be you.
Would you like to speak? Did you hear Ms. Richardson, what she said? Okay.
For those who don't know, I have 3 kids that are now at Woods Elementary. Last year, my second daughter was class-sized, and I spoke on that because I moved to Fort Smith in 2016. I picked the school, the area to live in, because I wanted my daughter to go to Upper Lane. It was when you talk about great schools, another thing, it was ranked as a very good school. It's also a blue ribbon school in 2017 or it was 2018, one of the two. I got involved because I think it's important that parents be involved in their kids' education. School is important to everyone. It's important to me because I want to make sure my child has the best opportunity. The reason I got involved with this process is not just for me, but for any other parent that moves into the school districts, buy a home in a certain area, and want their child to go to a particular school. I'm glad to say, working with Mr. Lays and the other members, we were able to make some recommendations that I think will help going forward. Did we solve all the problems? No. Are we going to make everyone happy? No. But we're making small progress, and that's all we can ask. The good thing that came out, I think it was in December or January of last year, my daughter, who had been class size, was moved into Woods Elementary. This meant I didn't have to go into work late. I could change my schedule, get back on track. So it was a very positive experience for me. This year, all 3 of my kids are now in Woods. I have a kindergartner, a 3rd grader, and a 4th grader, and they're happy to be in the school. So it was a positive process for me, and I hope more parents will, if they see an issue, will speak out. The only way we make a change is by getting involved. We just can't sit back.
Thank you, Chris.
So,
Well, see,
thank you.
one person can make a difference, and we did hear you, so thank you for your input and for serving on the committee, too. Mr. Lays, I have one comment, too. I believe this is the fewest comments, and I don't know about the rest of the board, that I've received about class sizing before we kind of get those angry phone calls. And I think I just got a couple, and they were very nice about it, and they understood. And even one of the class sizing, that family may even leave them where the child was put. The child is so happy. But
That
y'all done an
happens a lot,
excellent job.
actually. But yeah, we didn't have a lot of people who were really, really angry. I mean, we explained it well. I think the proof of address helped a lot, and it went as well as we could hope.
Well, and like you said, I think communication is the key, and being tactful and all that, and you all did a marvelous job. Thank you so much.
And I want to add something. Part of this is perception. I mean, when people feel like they're being treated fairly, you know, they don't necessarily have to like the outcome, but it's that notion that maybe there's special favors that are being doled out to this child or this family, but it really is laying out the rules, enforcing them clearly to where, you know, we may not always like how class sizing works, but we get the feeling that everybody's in the same boat. And I think you guys this year did I'm not saying you did poorly in other years, but I noticed the outreach a lot more this year to get that message out to the parents, and I think it was very well received.
Ditto. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a presentation, so no action is required. Our next item on the agenda is a presentation about the ambassador tour. Dr. Brubaker?
Yes, ma'am. So, you know, one of our other Vision 2023 priorities involves community engagement. We know that probably more than half of our families in Fort Smith do not have kids currently in school. And so Ms. Penix and a really capable team have worked on this project, the Ambassador Tour. The first year we called it the Senior Tour, and we were told, don't call it the Senior Tour anymore. So one person, my neighbor, suggested that we call it the Tour of Beautiful People. It's a perfect description, but it's a little hard to fit on the T-shirts. So we went with Ambassador, and this next year we're looking at a different one yet. So, Ms. Childress, I see you at the podium.
I'm ready to begin.
All right, great, thank you.
Thank you. I had the opportunity to serve on the planning committee for the first two tours, the senior tour and the ambassador tour. I had a great team. Ms. Penix and Jennifer Steele were on the team that I worked with. And then when I became a principal, then Nicole Schaefer stepped in and took the reins for the third ambassador tour. But we were tasked by Dr. Brubaker to, you know, reach those people in our community that we weren't reaching on an everyday basis. So we brainstormed, we worked with Zena and her whole communications department to come up with ideas on how to reach out to those people and help them feel connected. And that all stemmed from our sixth belief in the Vision 2023 strategic plan, that community involvement in our schools is an essential and highly valued investment in our students and our future. And when we speak of community, we speak of everyone in Fort Smith, and we want everyone to feel connected. Here's a video of that very first tour that we had and the engagement that the seniors at that time, before they were ambassadors, had
The beautiful
with our
people.
students. Yes, those beautiful people
That's my
had with
mother.
our students. Oops. We started with a bus tour and went to Trustee Elementary.
That
really exciting. Probably the most memorable thing for me that day was at the very end, one of the beautiful people that was with me said, "You know, I wonder where all the bad kids are, because all I see on the news are the bad kids." And she didn't see any bad kids that day. It was fabulous. So.
I did. I was fortunate enough to get to go on the third tour, and it was a little bit different. Our day started at Northside, and we started at Northside with the breakfast carts that they have at several of the junior highs and then at our high schools. And these carts are in different areas of the schools, and the items that are on there, the students have the opportunity to get those instead of having to go to the cafeteria every day. So we started with breakfast at Northside, and then after breakfast, everyone had the opportunity to get to know each other, and these ladies were from Upper Lane and had gone before, so they came to this tour again. And then we all came together, and Dr. Brubaker gave us some updates on construction and different things that were going on around the district at that time. This is the Northside High School gym that he had gone over. And when we left Northside, we drove by Darby, we drove by Tillis, and then we went to Morrison. And at Morrison, they were broken up into 4 different sections. And the kids were there to show some different things they were doing with robotics or things that they were doing with 3D printers. And they had the opportunity to show our ambassadors what they were doing in their classrooms. And then we had, the bottom picture here is one of our gate teachers. She's a junior high gate teacher, and she talked about different things that she does in the classroom with STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics for those kids. This was not one of mine, but it was one where they did get to go into classrooms and into different areas to interact with our students. We also had the opportunity to have our mayor with us, as well as some other, and I know Miss Sherry, I've seen Miss Sherry several other times too, in my new role, and then even in my other role as assistant principal. So I've made connections in the community with some of our community members, and she's gonna come to Fairview and meet with us sometime. More engagement with our students in the classrooms. These are the 3D printers, and our students can create the programs and different things to create. These were name tags that they had made for their backpacks, so they can identify their backpacks. Any questions?
One of the things that we wanted to do when we started our initial planning sessions was to really make this group of community members feel special. And we really wanted to roll out the red carpet for them. And this is one of the things that we've done for every tour, and it's the JROTC Color Guard and Saber team. And I can't tell you how excited they are to be able to walk through those sabers. It's a surprise for them, and it's a very touching moment. They feel very proud to be able to do that. That's a picture of Mayor McGill at Barling Elementary with the students there. So that is a highlight of the day for our tour members. She mentioned that we feed them. We tried to feed them well, treat them well, and make them feel special. The nutrition services prepares lunch, as she mentioned, with the kiosk, and they also, breakfast, and then they treated us to lunch. And then we always have a group perform for them. Whatever group at the elementary school where we eat lunch that has a program prepared, they usually will perform for our guests, and the students eat lunch with our guests as well. So they get to interact not only in the classrooms, but during the lunchtime also. And it's amazing what kids will tell you over lunch. This is a group of young ladies that got to know one another during the lunchtime. At Ramsey, we went to Ramsey Junior High on our second visit, and one of the things that we did differently there was the date that we had selected actually coincided with the transition to success for the incoming 7th grade, so that was an opportunity for us to do very little planning because they were already having an assembly for all the incoming 7th graders, and we were able to reserve the first few rows after breakfast, and they were able to see the choir and the band, the orchestra played, the cheerleaders, the dance team, and they got to hear from the student council and all those things that are involved in everyday school life besides the academic part. So that was a very unique opportunity for the second tour. I want to close real quick with this young lady here, and I call her young. She'll appreciate that, and I appreciate it too because we're about the same age. But her name is Sherry, and every time we have a tour, I always go through my contacts and I try to send out the flyer to the friends that I have in my contact list on my phone, and she's one of them. And she actually texted me about a week later and said, "I've signed up for the tour." And so she took a day off. She's a business solutions analyst at ArcBest. That's a mouthful. She's been there about 40 years. And she actually had a child that went to school here in Fort Smith, graduated from Southside High School about 14 years ago. And he and his family have relocated in Vegas. He's in the military, so she has a grandchild, but they don't attend school here in Fort Smith. So her participation and her volunteering, those opportunities, she hasn't had those really, or she felt like she didn't have them since he graduated. So she enjoyed the tour tremendously. She stopped me afterwards and said that she had a great day, but during the summer she texted me and said that there were a group of ladies at ArcBest that met monthly to talk about community involvement and trying to get involved in the community in regard to technology. So she was inviting me to lunch with this group of ladies about starting a Girls Can Code club. And I was like, that's really not my area, but I can put you in touch with the person that could probably help you facilitate that. And so that was Amy Adams. So I connected her with Amy, and she texted me back and said, "I really want you to come to lunch anyway." And so we met for lunch, and through the course of that conversation, we not only talked about their involvement for future opportunities with the Girls Can Code Club, but also in the junior highs. And then in the secondary, we have a Grit, Goals, and Graduation conference for students at Northside, and she and her team are going to come in and do some sessions for students there about opportunities of employment in the coding field for women and for men as well. But they feel like that is an area where women may not know that there are great job opportunities for them in the area of coding. So that's a little testimony about someone as a result of this tour, is going to go in, and she and her friends are going to become involved in the school system. So that was very exciting to hear. These are two of our group photos. It's kind of like going to church camp in one day. Everybody shows up and they don't really know each other or know everyone, and then by the end, I think you could tell from the video, they were just cheering and hurry, let's get in the picture, and they had a great time. And so this is a wonderful opportunity for people to see and learn about our schools. I'm going to close out here with a video, if I can. Really sure. Oh, there we go.
Hear so many negative things about our schools. I've learned some positive things today about our schools. Our money is being well spent, and believe it or not, I believe there's an even playing field for all children now with the technology that is around. From taking the computers home and stuff to work with, and the kids are being responsible with their stuff. I think we've got a real good chance for the future of Fort Smith schools.
That's great. Thank you, Jennifer.
Well, all I can say that I'm just one of those people that now I'm the finisher, the closer, because I've surrounded myself with a great team of professionals that put it all together, and I would like to give them applause because they did a fabulous job. And the only thing I could add is that we're looking forward to whatever the next tour will be, Dr. Brubaker. And I have already enlisted. He doesn't know. He was in the planning session on Monday, Dr. Davis. So he doesn't know what that will look like, but he's on board, whatever it is, so he's ready. The other thing I want to add is, sometimes you get what you ask for. And Dr. Brubaker had a dream. And his dream last year was that he had gone and he wanted homemade ice cream that you get like at Furr's with that little ice cream machine that makes the ice cream come out with. And I went to Philip and I said, Philip, this is the only thing that Dr. Brubaker ever asked for. Can you make it happen? Well, not only did he make it happen, but he brought us like 7 flavors. And that was the biggest hit of the day, that ice cream machine. And we had 7 flavors, and Dr. Brubaker was so happy. So it was a win-win. So,
And you know
thank
what, Ms. Penix, that's not the only thing he's ever asked for, by the way.
I know.
Look where we are today.
I know,
The
but
future.
for us, it was just little small things. We said Dr. Brubaker left happy, full of ice cream, so we were happy. So thank you all for giving us this opportunity.
Did he try all 7 flavors?
I don't know. I didn't follow.
No, I did not. But it was great. Thank you.
Okay.
I think people really enjoyed that.
Thank you.
You know what, I can speak from experience. My mother, who is almost 90 years old, had the best time, and she was still kind of new to town. So she's been asking me when the next tour is, because she's got some friends she wants to take along. So thank y'all so much.
I want
This
to
was
add one
wonderful.
more thing too. My mom brought 3 of her friends, and she met so many new people.
Yes.
She was going to the symphony with one of the people that she met because of this experience. So just thank you again for pulling everything together, because you did create, I think, friendships beyond the event. So thank you for that.
This, too, is a presentation that no action is required or recommended. Do any board members have anything they would like to share? We do have the former mayor here with us, and when I walked in the door, what? Anyway, when I walked in the door, I said, oh, Mr. Sanders, you're here with us. And you know what he said? I said, are you missing having meetings or what? And he said, no, I just want to come and see what's going on with your schools. So we really appreciate you taking your time, because I know you used to go to a lot of meetings. So thank you. Anyone else have anything?
I just want to thank Dr. Brubaker and the staff for their service during the flood this past few days. And just want to commend them for a good job, and thank you.
Just want to say, you know, we do have a great team, and as I was sitting around the table on Sunday with them trying to figure things out for this morning, I was just so grateful that, kind of like what Ms. Penix said, when you surround yourself with great people, good things happen.
Right.
If there's no other business that come before the board, we are adjourned.